What procurement really thinks of your vendor pitch. I want to tell you what procurement teams are thinking but never say out loud. Because I've sat across from enough of them to know there's a significant gap between what they tell you in a meeting and what they actually think when you leave the room. And that gap, if you don't understand it, will cost you deals you thought you were winning. This isn't about blame. Procurement professionals are doing exactly what they should be doing. But if you're on the sales side and you don't understand how they're really evaluating you, you're operating with a serious blind spot. Let's fix that. The first thing to understand is that procurement scorecard is far wider than most sales teams realize. Yes, price matters. Of course it does. But in most enterprise technology and services decisions, price is rarely the deciding factor at shortlist stage. By the time you're in the room, you've already passed a commercial threshold. What's being evaluated now is something more nuanced. They're assessing risk, not just commercial risk, delivery risk, reputational risk, relationship risk. They're asking themselves, if this goes wrong, how exposed are we? And critically, does this vendor give us confidence that they'll be honest with us? They're assessing organizational fit. Can we actually work with these people? Is their governance model compatible with ours? Do they understand how our business makes decisions? And they are assessing long-term value, not just what you cost today, but what the total relationship is worth over the contract period. Vendors who can demonstrate a credible expansion roadmap, who think beyond the initial scope, who show they're invested in the client's success, those vendors score significantly higher. Now let me tell you the things that quietly kill vendor pitches, often without the sales team ever knowing why. Overselling in the first meeting. Procurement teams have sharp instincts for exaggeration. When a vendor claims they can do everything brilliantly, the credibility score drops immediately. What builds trust is the opposite. The vendor who says, here's where we are genuinely excellent, and here's where we'd bring in a specialist partner. That honesty is so rare, it's genuinely disarming. Treating procurement as a blocker rather than a partner. I've seen sales teams try to route around procurement, going directly to the business sponsor. That almost never ends well. Procurement notices. And once they feel bypassed, you've created an adversary inside the process. Disappearing after the proposal lands is also a signal. The best vendors stay engaged. They check in. They ask if there are questions. They offer reference conversations proactively. They show that the relationship matters beyond the bid. Here's what I want sales leaders to take away from this. Procurement is not the enemy. They are not trying to drive you into a race to the bottom on price. They are assessing organizational fit. Can we actually work with these people? Is their governance model compatible with ours? Do they understand how our business makes decisions? The teams that win are the ones who treat procurement as a strategic relationship, not a process to navigate. Who invest time in understanding what matters beyond the RFP? Who show up with transparency, with honesty about limitations, and with a clear view of what partnership looks like beyond day one. That approach takes more effort, but the deals it produces, bigger scope, longer tenure, stronger margins, are worth every bit of it. It's a strategic investment in the future of the deal. Procurement leaders watching this, what's the one thing you wish more vendors understood before they walk into a pitch? Drop it in the comments. See you next time.